Like and subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. House Sparks Mega Worldwide. Let's go to this fella. The last time we saw this dickhead, he was in the woods, and he was stupid enough to stand in front of greenery and allow me to project a picture of him, of his father and Jeffrey Epstein together at one of their many hangouts. There's a few areas where I'm actually shocked at how disgusting the Trumps are on certain things. Going after Biden or Hunter or any of that, I don't care. Not surprising at all. Occasionally when they shit on the FBI or whatever, that's I find that surprising. The Brittany Griner thing, the truth about the ridiculous Brittany Griner situation, the truth about it. Now this is doing pretty good for him as videos go. Now, considering who Donald Trump Jr. is and the impact that he and his father are supposed to have on politics, the fact that his videos don't do any better than my 30 to 45 minute clips that I post on YouTube, which in and of themselves are podcast level conversations, I would say, on par with anything you're going to hear, but are definitely long form. Mine get about that same number. And he's got 979,000 subscribers on this site and 4,000 views. This is from yesterday. And this is doing well for him. It got 1,246 rumbles. Like they're back to laundering money for him again. By the way, there has been no update on the pictures of him and his dad or the articles in the news, even though God knows they've had plenty of new news articles over the years written, giant puff pieces written by right-wing publications. And yet they can't spring for any more framing. No, you're just going to leave that. All right, fine. This is going to
all right, I'm standing here in front of the federal courthouse in Washington, D.C.
All right, and no one
inside
cares.
is the first jury trial that was brought forth by special counsel John Durham.
Well, guys, I'm sure you've seen.
Well, guys, I can't believe it. It's sure that I go half a fuba.
This, the Brittany Griner
Brittany Griner controversy, which I have notes written on either side. It's like a tennis match of idiocy. I've got the name of the thing, and then I ran out of space, so I had to put it over here. Tell you what, I'm just going to stare just above the camera just to be annoying.
Controversy. She's the WNBA player that was arrested in Russia for possession of drugs, something you're not allowed to do there.
Yes, you're allowed to arrest people for the possession of drugs in Russia. It's part of their system. You're not allowed to possess drugs. She thought she had CBD vape capsules, and she has hash ones that she smokes recreationally in the United States. She got them mixed up. The wrong ones were in her travel bag. That's what it was for. She was not smuggling fucking heroin in a way that perhaps Don Jr. will get used to at some point in his future.
She's been held there for a while, and now,
just talking about it is making my deviated septum clog with coke.
The Biden administration...
Oh, is he too loud? He is loud. Sorry. Oy.
The Biden administration
is about to trade Victor Boot. And by the way, it's not just for her. Let's see if he notices.
Administration may trade a literal arms dealer.
A literal arms dealer? Why would we keep that arms dealer, which is good for America? They're trying to destroy us. We can't let it happen.
For this WNBA political activist who doesn't seem to have anything good to say about America for years, we're going to trade a Russian arms dealer for someone who committed a crime in Russia.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's not a crime over here, and 9 years in jail where she will be tortured is not a great idea. Also, hold on one second. Sorry. Whoops. Victor Boot. Whoops.
We're also getting Whelan in exchange for that as well. Yeah, Paul Whelan. He's not going to. This is here we go. Let me get the article up so you guys can see it. That's Victor Boot. He was played by Nicolas Cage in the movie Lord of War. I prefer Deal of the Century. but that's just me. This is Paul Whelan. This is Brittany Griner. We're getting two of them for him. He's also in America. He's not here on a capital offense, even though he's a vicious, awful murderer. He's only got a 25-year sentence, at which point we have to let him out. He's young enough to survive that. This is not like he will be out in a shorter time than some of the people who went to Gitmo who didn't do anything. So, yeah. He's not going to mention Paul Whelan at all. He's going to say, we're giving Victor Boot in exchange for, an American tourist who fucked up, and we should just leave her there. By the way, America first.
What could go wrong, folks?
What could I'm reading it. I even wrote in quotes, what could go wrong?
And of course, the liberals and the liberals in the media. Trump is siding yet again with Russia.
Wait, you're reading your own? Leftists doing their Trump is siding with Russia BS because he rightfully thinks it's a bad idea to trade a convicted Russian arms dealer for a lib activist who assumed she could break Russia's laws and get away with it, and like she could certainly do in the U.S. is peak dem. Like she could certainly do in the U.S. is peak dem insanity. Okay, first of all, what she did would not constitute a crime in the United States. If anything, in some places it would be a misdemeanor for possession, but nearly nowhere in the country are hash vaping cartridges going to get you anything more than a summons or a ticket. Secondly, the idea that we should leave her there because of that, because they found this and then they're going to use her as a bargaining chip anyways, or we should just leave an American citizen. Remember, this is the people who think that there are hostages that we left behind in Afghanistan. And the people that stayed behind in Afghanistan who have dual citizenship, many of whom, by the way, are in the fucking opium trade and didn't want to leave because Afghanistan is the side of their bread that the butter is on. And he's quoting somebody else. Brittany Griner's not a political prisoner. She carried drugs that were illegal with whatever.
Because he thinks, essentially, that it's a bad idea to trade a jailed Russian arms dealer for a spoiled WNBA political activist.
She's an American. Sorry. We don't, no one would get 9 years in prison for being a spoiled political activist. That we don't operate that way. That's kind of what makes the country great. I don't have to agree with your political opinions. You can be an asshole. You're never going to fucking go to jail for that. Not in this country. So the idea that, and certainly I don't believe that nonviolent, drug users who have minor amounts for personal use should go to fucking jail for 9 years anywhere. And to say that it's okay for them to do that to our citizens elsewhere and we're just going to let them go, because she wasn't trafficking. This isn't like a story of an American, with dual citizenship or an American who lives abroad, an expat, ends up trafficking in another country or some shit. That's not this at all. This is personal use. So it's absurd anyways. I mean, he's not even going to mention, like I said, Paul Whelan's existence. Like, we're getting two for the price of one. And Victor Boot's awful, but he's never going to leave Russia again. His whole thing was traveling through the Middle East and trading arms with people or whatever. And with the kind of people you have to meet in person. You can't call these fuckers because they live in caves or they live underground or they live kind of this burrowed existence in places. That's who they trade with. He can't do it anymore. He might be able to advise on something, but he's certainly not going to give any good advice on how to, carry out the Ukraine war, for fuck's sake.
Can you believe this stuff?
Yes, I can. I would do that in a fucking heartbeat. And so would the only problem is Trump couldn't get Whelan out. This is the issue. That's this dude. Trump never even came close to this. As friendly as he fucking was with Putin.
I mean, is there anything this administration will do that's actually perhaps good for America?
Yes, getting back two citizens in exchange for somebody who is a useless criminal in Russia, which we have sanctioned up the ass right now to the point where it is ruining their economy. I doubt that his value as an arms trader The reality is he might be dead in 3 years by their hand. This guy will catch a bad case of cement poisoning if he's not able to deliver in the next couple of years. I mean, the chance he might show up on Channel 1 a few times before they throw him in the fucking Moskva.
Is there anything that the mainstream media...
Well, I have a note about the mainstream media. I wrote mainstream media because if I put MSM, I think it's a supplement.
will do that actually puts America first? I mean, think about the consequences.
Yes, I am thinking about the consequences. 2 Americans, one of which who will be basically tortured in the country just for existing the way she is, just by being black and gay in Russia, in jail. Already, they don't even have, they put her in a fucking cage to transport her, and she's too tall for it. So they don't care. They just treat her like an animal. It's fucking awful. And Whelan is not a spy, but he's going to go down as one. They'll eventually do him in if we don't get him back, because Russia's going to collapse soon. There is no tomorrow in negotiating for these people. If this goes on for a few more months and Russia eats shit like it's going to this fall, their lives are in danger. Don't believe me? Ask anybody who was around or who saw the Ukrainian prisoners of war who were bombed by Russia in the Donbass.
An arms dealer.
Yes, he's an arms dealer. He doesn't have access to arms. He's selling Russian shit. I got news for you, fucko. They don't have enough stuff to use, much less give away right now. What's he gonna do? Like, they weren't able to get drones from Iran. Do you think they're going to, thank God, Victor Bout is here. We'll send him down to Iran, then they'll give us the fucking drones. The shit?
Okay? Someone who is not a good guy.
Not a good guy. And we should keep him and put him in my dad's next cabinet.
Listen, what the fuck? Someone who is
not a good guy
will do that actually puts America first. I mean, think about the consequences. An arms dealer, okay? Someone who is not a good guy, okay?
Not a good guy.
Has a long history of bad stuff.
I'm glad he studied before this one.
This guy has a long history of doing the not goods. Okay, I don't know if you read the article. Some people don't like to do the research, but this guy has been doing the not good for some time.
We're going to trade them
for 2 Americans who will be dead inside 2 years if we don't get them back.
For, again, a leftist political activist who got caught doing things they shouldn't have been doing in Russia. Now, I imagine...
Again... your dad was caught doing things he shouldn't have been doing in Russia. Your dad admitted to walking into the backstage area of underage girls who were dressing. The fuck? In Russia.
Okay. If Trump was in charge, they never would have even put Brittany Griner in jail, despite her hatred of Trump and America and all things. It probably never would have happened.
It probably never would have happened. They would have turned off their drug laws entirely, because when Trump is in charge, you can break any law in any other country you want because they respect our strength, okay? Also, my dad had an arrangement.
But now, Russia knows just how incompetent the Biden administration is, just how weak they are, so they say, you know what? Let's do it. Let's get whatever we want. We're going to get Russian arms dealer, notorious Russian arms dealer, Victor Bout.
I'm sorry. Who?
Weak they are. So they say, you know what?
What was the name again?
Let's do it. Let's get whatever we want. We're going to get Russian arms dealer, notorious Russian arms dealer, Victor Bout back.
Yes, Victor Bout. Victor Bout. What's it all about? What's it all about? Victor Bout, you dumb son of a bitch. He's notorious for having the name Victor Bout. It's pronounced Boot, you dumb son of a bitch. I mean, it's bad. We know you're reading it. Look, we know you're reading it. We know you just You just heard it just now. They sent you the talking points. They gave you the Post-it notes. They said, stick these up on your fucking monitor and make your little video, or no Coke money this week. Okay, Heritage Foundation, Trump campaign wannabes, Save America assholes, whoever is sending this dickhead his daily scripts. You got to start sending pronunciation codes, cues rather. You have to send him a hot link that goes like, how do you pronounce? Where a computer voice goes, boot. Victor Boot.
And his lawyer's confident that's going to happen.
His lawyer is confident. Victor Bout's lawyer is
because they know America is led by a bunch of schmucks at this point. Remember, Brittany Griner's not a political prisoner.
Yes, I know. You showed us the tweet that you responded to where someone else said that, and you are parroting what she said. Now, you don't have to be politically active in a country to be a political prisoner. You can be taken prisoner in another country for political reasons. And by the way, by just saying that if she'd have been in the exact same situation and your dad was in charge and they would have let her go, means that they are taking her for a political reason, or that they would have released her for political leverage with and for your dad.
She wasn't, arrested there.
Yeah, see, he's quoting this. She carried drugs that were illegal with her in Russia and was arrested.
There's nothing political about that. Tell him, Tim. There's nothing political about this.
Yeah, there is. If they take her for political reasons, if they let it slide in other circumstances, but in this particular situation, they use her as leverage, it is political. She is a political prisoner, even if she's not politically active, you dumb fuck. Also, she's captive in a country that punishes people for putting on gay pride events.
She carried
in a relatively racially homogenous country at that.
Drugs that were illegal in Russia. And
yeah, as a mistake. And even still, pleading and leaving the country is usually how it goes in most countries. That's, especially ones we have regular interaction with. They snatched her right before the war because they knew she could be useful. Even just using the CBD ones that she had would have been enough for them to use those against her. They don't, that's the problem with Putin-like dictatorships. Selective enforcement.
Was arrested. There's nothing political about that. I understand that if you're a leftist political activist in America right now,
that you won't get arrested, and that upsets him.
I have to do this thing when I talk where I push against my veneers and it resets the plate underneath the hole in my deviated septum caused by cocaine, and it clicks. And if I don't hear the click, I know I'm going to go.
They're not likely to ever enforce the laws of our nation against you. But that's not how Russia works.
I see. She broke a law over there that wouldn't be a law over here that would be broken, or she'd get in any real trouble for. Certainly something she wouldn't be caged. But that to him, that means that lefties can get away with anything.
If you're a political person in America like my father or myself,
then obviously you can grift all you want and screw your supporters out of their own money, and you can make a deal with the Saudis and play golf, or your dad can while you go to Montana, because you have a rule that you can't all be in the same place so it makes it more expensive to arrest you.
And you say, maybe I don't want to put a dangerous arms dealer back on the streets.
On the streets, that's where he's going to go. Yep, that's the thing. Victor Boot on the street. Sorry, Bout. Victor Bout on with his new show in Russia, Out and the Bout. Hello, I'm Victor Boot. Welcome to Out and the Boot.
Maybe a Russian arms dealer, who knows what links to terrorism or whatever. Maybe I don't want to trade that for a spoiled brat political activist of the Democrats. That doesn't mean you're siding with Russia.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. You don't get to keep our citizens for shit that either that certainly would not warrant the level of prosecution that they're getting in this circumstance, or that may be a fungible, as he is alleging, without us doing something about it. Again, this is about leaving Americans behind. That Americans, sorry, but according to the Trumps, no matter who the fuck you are, especially if you disagree with them or you are insufficiently loyal, because we know now that the Republicans who are insufficiently loyal to Trump are actually, they hate them more than they hate like hyper lefties. That you are not worth it. You are not worth trading for. Spy exchanges, all that kind of stuff, as gnarly as they are, we're just not going to do it anymore. And why? Because we're afraid that that person will actually be an effective person on the battlefield, or will engage in other arms sales in a way that we can't track or deal with. By the way, the idea that, well, that's a conversation for another time. The idea that Victor Vabout is going to actually be effective anymore is absurd. The reason to keep him in jail or to not give him up is entirely punitive.
That means you're actually siding with Americans. This is a convicted Russian arms dealer. Okay? This isn't like a lamb in the woods. This isn't someone from Russia who, was carrying illicit drugs in America.
Yeah, no, that's what she was.
And again, we understand if you're a leftist activist doing drugs in America, you almost don't have to follow any rules.
Oh, yeah? There's a drawer just to your left, Junior. And if you're anything like your dad, if you reach back and just open that drawer and tilt the camera down a little bit, give us a gander, maybe the rest of us will take you a little bit more seriously. No?
It seems like criminals in America don't have to follow rules anyway. They're just going to be released on their own recognizance, like the guy that tried to stab Lee Zeldin.
Oh my God! Lee Zeldin's campaign co-chair let him out. Lee Zeldin's campaign co-chair is the DA in the town where the guy tried to stab him with the kitty cat keychain, with the plastic ears of the kitty cat keychain, and she released him on his own recognizance. She did. Lee Zeldin's campaign co-chair released the guy who did not file greater charges of violence against the guy, and therefore allowed him to be released without bail. That was not a Democrat. That was not like Chesa Boudin or whatever from fucking San Francisco.
The guy who's running for governor of New York like 2 weeks ago. That's what happens. So make no mistake.
Make no mistake. The Vabouts, the Victor Bouts of the thing are not, there is no American worth trading for in any of these situations. It's your ass.
This isn't a good trade. This isn't a...
By the way, you'll notice he has not mentioned the fact that it is for both of these people. We are getting 2 Americans, including Paul Whelan. These 2 for this guy. 2 people for this guy. Now, why is Junior only mentioning her and not mentioning him? Is there something unsympathetic to his audience about her, but maybe sympathetic about this guy? Is there something with this guy versus this guy? After months of internal debate, the Biden administration has offered to exchange Victor Bout, a convicted Russian arms trafficker serving a 25-year U.S. prison sentence, as part of a potential deal to secure the release of 2 Americans. 2 Americans held by Russia, Brittany Griner and Paul Whelan. Dmitry Peskov said Thursday, so far there is no agreement on this issue. It's going to happen. They're not going to talk about the details, blah, 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 blah. Let me see if they have Monica converted directly, but senior administration's guest monitor been responsible. Officer takes 2 to tango. We start negotiations. Blah blah blah. This has been going on. This, I mean, it's ultimately gonna happen. But it's weird that there's any pushback before it has. Because I mean, ultimately, what are you talking about here? If the deal happens, it's going to happen. If it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen because of the, Russia and the State Department not coming to terms about how to do it. But the idea that both he and his dad are throwing themselves in front of this deal to make sure it doesn't happen or to capitalize on it politically before it occurs, as almost I suppose, a message to the Russians, don't do it, is I think the only other shocking thing about this.
American politicians doing the bidding of Russia. This is putting America first by not wanting a convicted Russian arms dealer out on the street.
I don't give a fuck if Victor Bout is out on the street. He is, when he goes to Russia, he'll be as much a problem for them as anybody else. He's an arms dealer who sold illicit Russian arms and Egyptian arms and fucking North Korean shit. He did all kinds of deals with all kinds of people throughout Africa, and even was selling to both sides in a couple of conflicts that fucked with the Russian position. He's one of the graft guys who was finding, Shoigu, the Russian DOD guy who has a $24 million house on a $112,000 a year salary. One of the reasons that dude has a $24 million fucking house is because he sells off Russian military equipment under the fucking table. And he sells it to people through people like Victor Bout. This isn't Russia making a deal with Congo or with fucking Boko Haram to get stuff. This is them fucking their own country. Victor Bout was not a licensed Russian arms dealer. There's every reason to believe that, but for his trophy use, that once they get him back, they'd snuff him and throw him in a fucking pond. Especially Shoigu and these other dudes who've been selling arms through him over the years, illicitly, illegally, under the table, that don't want their system found out. For fuck's sake, if Victor Bout is returned and Putin has him walk in and go, okay, who was giving you the shit that you sold in Africa 10 years ago? Because I was supposed to get a piece of that action and I never saw it. Or one of the reasons why our fucking tanks suck right now and why our tires are rotten is because somebody sold our extra tires. Where the fuck are they? Then he's going to tell him, think he's buddies with Putin, and then they're going to shoot him in the hallway. Yeah, Putin would have him standing on a plastic tarp. Exactly. Jesus Christ. Victor Bout was not a Russian military, general or one of their technicians who was engaged in spying in the United States and was, buying U.S. gear and selling it through Mexico to Saudi Arabia or some shit like that. He was stealing from his own country. And he was using the kleptocracy of the Russian government to fucking do it. There are 10 guys in Russia who want him shot in the head so he doesn't snitch on them. They're all billionaires.
In exchange for a leftist activist.
And no, in exchange for an American. Fuck you, what they do. And also, notice how he is still, he's not going to bring up, I'm calling it, there's 9 seconds left in this fucking video. He's not going to bring up Paul Whelan.
Stop pretending otherwise. And that's why no one has any faith in the media or the Democrats. Because it's going to happen anyway, folks, unfortunately.
Huh? Hold on.
Because you know that's why it's gonna happen, but nobody's gonna happen. It's not gonna happen, and you're not gonna have it happen if you happen it. And that's what
the media.
And you can't trust the media, even though they're reporting this basically. Even though I'm reading directly from the media here, as it says in the Washington Post, which is awful when it talks about my dad, but right the rest of the time. This deal is going to happen no matter what anybody says, probably because my dad's not fucking president anymore.
Or the Democrats, because you know it's going to happen anyway, folks, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is going to happen. Fortunately, for an American, for two Americans, actually.